It is traditional when a member retires for that person to offer thoughts on their career. I did prepare remarks. I don't always speak from prepared remarks, but I did prepare them because it's important. I promise to be brief, and I promise not to be too boring. First, let me say that the name of this speech is No Regrets. Had I written this speech the day after the election, it would have been called, Give Me That Leftover Halloween Candy. I think I just wasted 18 years of my life. But time gives one a little perspective, and I've had some perspective, and I no longer feel that way. So the first thing I want to do is to thank the voters of Lower Gwynedd, Upper Gwynedd, North Wales Borough, Talmenson Township, Whitpin Township, Bluebell, and I guess Plymouth Township, which I did have for some time. Thank you for letting me be your voice here in the Pennsylvania General Assembly. It was a great honor, and I am so glad to have had that chance. How cool is it to be in a legislative body that is older than our country, and where Benjamin Franklin once wielded the gavel? Admit it, everybody, that in and of itself is pretty cool, and I got to do it for 18 years. So in my 18 years, I learned a few things. Probably not as many as I should have, but I did learn a few things. So I'd like to pass them on for those of you who will be serving in the future. First, people, we need to learn to listen to one another. We need to learn to listen. We need to understand that things look very differently depending on your vantage point and where you're sitting. Something that's completely obvious if you're from the suburbs looks very different in rural Pennsylvania. So the first thing we need to do is learn to listen to one another so we can appreciate the different perspectives that each of us brings from home to this body. Secondly, and this is a hope, we need to learn not to jam things through. Laws that are jammed through by one side or the other never really get the credibility they need and just furnish arguments going into the future. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you can each name things that either a Republican or a Democrat proposed and rammed through, not just here, but in the Congress, that are still a problem today. We do better when we do things by consensus, when we learn from the other guy's perspective and either add or subtract things here and there to try to get buy-in from all sides. And don't be afraid to do the hard work of committees. In my time as local government chair, and here I'm going to have to ask somebody to please tell Bob Freeman that I said this, I am really grateful to have been chairman with Bob Freeman. We didn't always agree, but we both decided we wanted only bills that were ready for floor action to leave our committee. And we worked hard to make sure that that's what happened. And for the most part, I think we succeeded. Of course, my thanks go to our respective staffs. Rob Gartner for me, John Fulton for him. They worked hard, and we were demanding bosses. Me more so than Bob, but that's the way we are. Also thank Ashton Castle, my legislative aide for the committee, who did a good job. Finally, I would also like to thank the associations of the local governments, the townships, the boroughs, the counties, because they presented their perspectives and protected all of those who serve in our 2,500 local government units here in Pennsylvania. One more thing, piece of advice. Don't be afraid of floor debate. I personally have witnessed hearts and minds be changed during floor debate. We need to do more of it, not less. And remember this, here in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, we actually do get a lot of good things done. Teddy Roosevelt, a Republican Roosevelt, by the way, said, "Far and away, the best thing that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at something worth doing." Here in the General Assembly, we actually had that chance, have that chance, and those of you going forward have it in the future, the chance to work hard at something worth doing. And it is worth doing. We balance a budget every year. Congress hasn't done that in decades, okay? And it's hard, and you who have served here know that it's hard, but we do that. Personally, I'm proud of a few things that I've gotten done. Making trash pay, a tax on mostly out-of-state trash dumped at landfills that is funding environmental programs even today. Working across the aisle with Governor Ed Rendell, we did Growing Greener too, a program to fund trails, parks, watersheds, and open space so that each community can save those special places that matter to them. The voters approved that by a huge referendum. By the way, I never got that big of a referendum in any of my 9 elections. It was huge. Okay. This session, we stopped a government land grab of public parkland. That's important work, and we worked hard to get it done. I'm also proud to say I voted for Act 89, known to many of you as the gas tax. No legislator anywhere likes to vote for a gas tax because it is sure to upset people everywhere. Everyone drives a car, everyone pays it. Under the Pennsylvania Constitution, that money is directed towards roads and bridges. And we needed it because we had the worst bridges in the country. Think about that. The worst bridges in the country. And now that money is working across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and at home to fix our infrastructure and also to give good jobs to design professionals and road builders who lost jobs by the thousands before we passed that bill. It's important. I'm also proud to say that we amended the Pennsylvania Constitution to allow older, wiser judges to stay on the bench a little longer. Changing the Constitution is a heavy lift, but we got it done, and the voters approved that as well. Kathy Watson and I can take credit for getting a road built. Route 202 from Route 63 in my district through New Britain in her district, we lobbied hard to get that road built, and it was built. Former Secretary of Transportation Alan Beeler once told me that when he saw one of us in the Capitol, he couldn't remember our names. All he could think of was 202. And I said, "That's great. That's what I want you to think of. Get it done." And he did. So that was important. Far and away, though, I will miss being able to help my peeps, the constituents of the 61st Legislative District, whether we're talking about getting them unemployment benefits or a left turn arrow at a busy intersection. And I could not have done it without my district office staff in Bluebell. They were here earlier and had to go. Kathy Rush, Karen Shaw, Mary Ann Noon, and Megan Deal. Of Kathy Rush, my office manager, I can say this. She ran my life, but she did such a damn good job of it, I let her, because clearly I wasn't competent to do it on my own. So I will miss having her skill, and so will the residents of the 61st Legislative District. Finally, I have to thank my family. They serve without compensation with all of us. My poor husband, whose name is Paul J. Kelly III. Stand up, Kel. There he is. My husband has been called Mr. Harper thousands of times, and he takes it with good grace. That's not his name. And here I'm going to go off script just a little, because I just went through one of the nastiest campaigns of my career. But a low point was when somebody posted on Facebook that my son was a holy terror in the 4th grade at Gwynedd Mercy Elementary. So I must be a very bad mother. Let me just say something to any women here, moms or dads, men who have children. Let me tell you something. I don't know if it's because I made the big effort to drive back and forth the turnpike or in spite of that, but my kids turned out just fine. That holy terror in the 4th grade at the Catholic school served in the United States Marines and is now a police officer still serving the public, okay? Thank you. Clearly, he deserves that. But I want all of the parents here to know, you can raise great kids. You can raise great kids and do this job, although it is not easy to do. It's good work, which is worth doing. My other son, Tom, is a lawyer. Okay, come on, that gets applause. All right, thank you. And they did serve with me, and this was as hard on them as it was on me. So I want to remind you all that this is work well worth doing, and I commend it to you. And I want to thank the voters of my district for sending me here to be their voice. Thank you very much.